York Giant fans. It's Sunday. Truckosaurus. It's anyone know anything that's going on today? Is there any game or anything going on today? Let's say around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Possibly. Bueller. What could it be? Oh, it's the NFC Championship game. It's the vaunted Philadelphia Eagles against those Commanders, the Commies. The what else are we gonna call them again? I don't know what else we're gonna call them again. The Redskins. Saquon Barkley, who was the apple of the giant eye. Jaden Daniels, who was the apple of the eye of many Giant fans, who went, of course, to Washington. Did what he did his rookie year, pulled a little RG3, but took, unlike RG3, he took his team all the way to the NFC Championship game. And we watched this in bated breath and anticipation. But then at the end of the day, it's just, you know what? We got the third overall pick. And I chuckled to myself. Because someone mentioned to me on Twitter, you haven't done a live stream in 10 days. I'm like, well, thank you. I didn't know that. But I chuckled to myself because Shedeur Sanders was, like Jaden Daniels, the apple of everyone's eye 2 years ago. That first season, even though he had some ups and downs in Colorado, he would have been a great first overall pick. He could have been in the top 5. Then all of a sudden, he goes back to Colorado, has a better season, shows more ability, more talent. But for some unknown reason, there is now a segment of Giant fans. Thank you, Talk with Zoe. Can't wait till February. There's this certain segment of Giant fans. I got this from this actually came from, I guess you would say the Trump administration. We were going to go to the inauguration. We had tickets in the seated area just off the steps of the Capitol. And then they moved everything into the rotunda, and they just decided that, we don't have enough room because they only fit 600. There was 3,000 people they gave those tickets to, and there was only 600 seats in the rotunda. So I got a hat, and they sent me a hat instead. But we sit there and we talk about this, and we see Shedeur Sanders have a better season, but for some reason, all of a sudden, Giant fans are like, he's not the guy. Because now the Titans are talking about they're going to take a talent that's all world, that transcends football, which to me would be Travis Hunter. But all of a sudden, like I said, Giant fans sit there, and now all of a sudden, Shedeur Sanders is no longer the guy. Why? Is it because of the fact that we may actually have to take a quarterback, and the quarterback that we should take outside of Cam Ward isn't there, could potentially be there? Are we afraid to take a quarterback? And I love it because, and I sent this to Zach because it's all, you know what time it is, guys?
Stupid Giant Twitter post.
This Stupid Giant Twitter post goes out to NYG Crush, who was trying to tell people how good Shedeur Sanders is going to be. And then I asked her, I said, didn't you think DJ was going to be good? Her response was, still think in the right situation, DJ will be good. That's more than just a stupid Twitter post. I mean, that's a stupid Twitter post all by itself because of the fact that he went to Minnesota, sat on the practice squad for 6 weeks, injury-plagued teams who have quarterback issues didn't even touch him, and he never saw the light of day. But according to NYG Crush, still think in the right situation, DJ will be good. Okay, you assessing any quarterback as now totally out the fucking door. you can't even talk. You should just delete your Twitter account because the team thought so much of him as a franchise quarterback, they cut him in the middle of a season and ate $22 million in dead cap space this year. That's how much they believed in Daniel Jones. That's why NYG Crush gets the nod today on Sunday of the New York Giants' stupid Twitter posts. And there was a lot of them. Zach Attack always sends me some good ones. But why? Why all of a sudden do we hate Shedeur Sanders? Why all of a sudden is there a segment of fans? I love the fact that Bad Dog still can't bring himself to say that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. And I love it because when we talked about Daniel Jones, people would inflate his stats by adding his rushing yards and his rushing touchdowns, which was only 6. But they don't do that with Jalen Hurts. He's got like 17 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, like 700-800 yards, along with his 15-20 yards. I don't get that one. I don't get it. I really don't. Let's have some coffee. Let's enjoy the nectar of Black Rifle coffee. But like I said, I would be happy with Sanders or Ward. I prefer Ward, but if Shedeur Sanders is sitting there at 3 and we have that opportunity, I don't think it's a forced pick. Like I said, I just don't get how all of a sudden, and there's even certain scouts in the NFL, all of a sudden, Shedeur Sanders is not the guy. He wouldn't even be a 3rd round pick in some people's eyes. Is it the Deion connection? I wonder that. Is there the Deion issue? Is there something there that makes people just automatically hate him? Because I see a guy at 6'2", dual threat type guy, completed 72% of his passes. He's mobile, agile, and hostile. Surgical at times. 74% completion, 74.2% completion percentage. And I see a guy that looks downfield. I see a guy that stays in the pocket. I see the guy that has this little bit of Jonathan Moxon in it. We always talk about Billy Bob having that little bit of Moxon in you. He looks like he's a natural type leader, kind of like Deion was. Is he that Ward I think Ward's got more speed, but he's mobile enough. I think he's faster than people like Patrick Mahomes, but he can move around the pocket. He doesn't have the Spencer Rattler type of release but he's got that quick release. He's got an NFL arm. He understands how to throw to a spot. People talk about how he has too many negative plays, that he was total 52 sacks in 2024. But you know what? That's perfect for the Giants. Because you are gonna have to take a beating with the Giants. You know, he has all the abilities that we loved 2 years ago, but now all of a sudden he's just a bum. And I truly don't get why all of a sudden Giant fans have turned away from, not all Giant fans. Smart Giant fans are still hanging tough, but I don't understand why a certain segment of the Giant fans just all of a sudden decided, you know what? Shedeur Sanders just ain't the guy. I think we need to be more dumbfounded by Saquon Barkley and his 2,000 yards. Running wild in the NFL. Oh, I love, what do we go? What does Danny have to say here? Danny says, difference between Eagle and Giant fans is Eagle fans universally know Hurts is holding the team back. Meanwhile, they're Giants fans still making excuses for Daniel Jones. Hurts isn't holding the team back. Jalen Hurts is the perfect fit for this Philadelphia team. He's the perfect fit. He really is. Why? Because they watch, and I always tell people, watch how the offensive lineman treats him like he's their kid brother. Just watch that. Because that's what they do. And he's the perfect quarterback for Philadelphia. He has the temperament. He has the ability. I personally don't think he's right. I personally think there's something wrong with him. There's something very wrong here. But I think he's the perfect fit for this team. Not every quarterback has to be Dan Marino or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Great example. Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts one weekend put up almost identical stats. And both of them won the game. But somehow Josh Allen was so much better than Jalen Hurts. It's like their stats are almost identical. Same thing with Caleb Williams. Certain people say Caleb Williams is a bust. We told you he's a bust. But he has almost the exact same stats as Jaden Daniels. It's the win-loss record that makes the difference. It's perception. Because Caleb's a little bit more outspoken, a little bit more strange, maybe you want to say. But almost identical stats to the guy that's in the NFC Championship game. And one guy should be Rookie of the Year, and the other guy should be run out of town on a rail in Chicago. It's perception. Well, let's go see what we got. Some people in there. Greg says he's first. Hit the like or sit on a spike. I like that one. Good morning, Tim. Smash that like button, says Mike Lee on the way in. Mike Lee says, it is between Mara and Wildy Coyote. If it's Mara, you go rid of Wildy Coyote. But Mara only thought death or mental incompetence, making incorrect decisions, do not rise to the mental incapacity. I really do worry about John Mara. This is the same guy in the same sentence that said, you know what, we need continuity. We got to keep, every time we change something, it just gets worse. We need continuity. Then in the same sentence, or the same interview goes, but if they don't win, they're all getting fucking fired. Pete Carroll took the job over with the Raiders. It was a good move for the Raiders. Bring some continuity to the team. Bring some sanity to the team. And I think he has, 18 seasons? He's got 18 seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win. And in those 18 seasons, he has 18 years, he has 4 losing seasons in the NFL. And that's between, of course, people forget that he was over New England. And he's got 4 losing seasons. Brian Daboll has 2 losing seasons in 3 years. Giants among Mingus third. Big Blue Forever is 497th. Defeat the Eagles, I think that is. Let's see. We Giant fans deserve reparations for having to endure the Daniel Jones era. Season ticket holders deserve that. Talk Rizzo says, love the hat, bro. Let's see here. We got Captain Rizzo says GM Tim. Zach says, who the Giants hate the most is Joe Shane because Howie Rosen and Adam Peters ate Joe's lunch. There was another stupid Twitter post that we were trading Kayvon Thibodeau for a 4th round pick to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not really sure, remember who that Twitter post came from. But anytime you take the 5th overall pick just 3 years ago and trade him for a 4th rounder, you got the moniker of stupid Giant Twitter post. Good morning, sir. Dope Hat says protects and serves. We got my brother James Williams in the chat. My brother, please Titans make Travis Hunter and his girlfriend. Again, please Titans take Hunter. I believe Sanders is the smokescreen. For whom? Bad Dog just can't admit he is wrong. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know what's funny? I think it was Greg. I think we did a OG member only video 3 years ago. And I think it was Greg that sent it to me. I have to see if I can find it on Twitter. And it basically talks about who's a better quarterback, Daniel Jones or Jalen Hurts. And, of course, I say Jalen Hurts. But I thought that was fun. That was from 3 years ago. Go Eagles today. I want to see the Eagles. I want Barkley to go Super Bowl. Bad Dog hates Barkley for leaving. He thinks he didn't want to be here. No, the team didn't want him to be here. If maybe he should remember to watch Hard Knocks, where Joe Shane says, I'm not paying Barkley. He's not worth the market value. Bears, although the Bears are running up the price and the Eagles are out. No, Bad Dog is a YouTube politician. Him and his super friends. James, are you around? You have to come on a little bit later if you're around. Cody says it's what he did by pushing the refs in college football. Oh, he didn't even push. I mean, Shedeur Sanders didn't even push the ref. Bad Dog thought Jones would be better than Hurts. Yeah, I think Greg, I think you sent it to me. And I saw Greg in the chat earlier. And I want to see if I can find it. You know what I like about X now instead of Twitter? So much fucking easier to type. What do? I just type X. And it comes up. Where do I go to find where people send me messages? Oh, here we go. Who the hell sent it to me? Now I'm trying to figure out who sent that to me. Was it Zach? Was it Greg? I don't remember now. I'll have to find it. Or Zach, if you can go find it. It was a members only video from 3 years ago. Talks about that. Mike Lee says people always neglect the inconvenient facts to their argument. Oh wait, some people are just idiots. Hey, wait, that's my line. We got that one. Zach. Good morning, Matthew. And good morning, OBB family. Hurts sucks too. Oh, no, Greg did send it to me. It was in the chat in one of the videos. I think it was in this most recent video. Chief and Bills, I got the Chiefs. You know what the funny thing is? I want to take the Bills because I want to see Josh Allen get to a Super Bowl. I really do. And I hate the Chiefs. But I also would love to see Spagnuolo get to another Super Bowl because I do think he's a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. If he wins in the Super Bowl, he should just stay a defense coordinator. Fuck getting a job again over as a head coach, and he should go to the Hall of Fame as a defensive coordinator. Matty Ice. Hurts doesn't suck, but worse than Danny Nichols. Let's see. Difference between Eagles and Giants fans is Eagles fans. Oh, we already got that one. Let's see here. Good morning, Juan. What's up? Jalen Hurts is light years better than Daniel Jones. Light years better than Daniel Jones. Light years. But we don't want to talk about that. Daniel Jones is not a team leader. He's got leadership traits, something DJ severely lacked. Jalen Hurts is a leader. I personally think Shedeur Sanders is a leader. And like I said, I am not gaga over Shedeur Sanders. I am not crazy over Shedeur Sanders. Do a little ASMR by drinking some coffee. I'm not, but I think he is probably the best quarterback that's going to come out in the next 2 years because I don't know what Archie Manning is. Everybody's in love with Archie Manning. I don't know what he is. I'm probably the only person in Giantland has no fucking clue what he is. And honestly, I don't think the Mannings want him to go to New York. I think they're going to pull a reverse San Diego. Hurts has the bum knee. Yes, he does have the bum knee. You could tell that he's hurting. We are going to see an aggressive Shane. There's a lot of players that we can move to complete our roster makeover, or is Shane not going to move on the guys like Belton, Flott, and Bellinger? People talk about the fact that we have all this cap space. The capologists are all out. How we have all this cap space. How we have $48 million in cap space. How we can rebuild this roster and make it better in one season, that we can pull something surprise. We could have up to $56 million in cap space. We make some other trades. I saw this other thing where people were just trading everyone, and we were going to have like $80 million in cap space. Don't forget, we got $27 million. We have $27 million in dead cap space right now. Right now. You owe $29 million to Brian Burns. You owe 23. This is what I love. Your top three guys, Burns, Lawrence, Thomas. The only one out of that top three who should be paid the way he's being paid is Andrew Thomas. I'm sorry. You could be in love with Dexter Lawrence. I have this honesty about Dexter Lawrence. When he was out, the run defense has actually improved. When he had the likes of even Leonard Williams,
King of the almost sack,
and Dalvin Tomlinson, he was that effective run stuffer. He's getting credit for trying. People call it, he's Aaron Donald. He's not Aaron Donald. And at 28 years old, making $23 million a year, I've already said it. This is your trade him while he's got top value. But you got three guys making almost $80 million. And only one of them should be an impact player. So even if you have $58 million in dead cap space, watch this. It's going to get tricky. We got a lot of moving parts. Out of the 54-man roster, how many people on that roster are free agents? Wait for it, 30. So you have 30 free agents on this roster. You don't have a quarterback, which is why you can potentially have $58 million, which people don't want to talk about. And you're going to fill this roster with overpriced free agents that you're probably going to have to pay more to get to come here because we're not good. And Joe Shane and Brian Dable are 17 games away from getting fired. This is a really bad combination, guys. You have the third overall pick, which you can't screw up. You have $58 million that you can't overspend. But somehow Joe Shane is going to fix this team with the players that we have. It doesn't make sense, because if you honestly sit there and assess and look at what we have, Brian Burns, you're paying $29 million for an 8-sack guy. Dexter Lawrence, okay, we like Dexter. Andrew, we like Dexter. Bobby Okereke may be a cap casualty because he's got zero guaranteed salaries at 26 years old. Then you got the likes of Runyon, Thibodeau, Ellimore, Neal, Neighbors, Singletary, Graham, Roche, Banks, Flott, Bellinger, McFadden. Where are the NFL players on this roster? I'm literally trying to find the NFL players on this roster. This roster has gotten so bad in 3 years. And the salary cap has gotten. You cannot tell me you have $58 million in salary cap space without the caveat that we do not have a quarterback. Quarterback usually eats up anywhere between 11 to 18% of your salary cap. We don't have any. We have Tommy DeVito. That's what we have. We have maybe a roster of 6 NFL players. And that might be being nice. Yeah, and like I said, I think Okereke is gone. Okereke, to me, suffered year 2 Blake Martinez. He can also run straight without falling down. That's always a big thing. Greg, what's up, Greg? Greg, if you could find that damn video you sent me in the chat, not in the chat, in the last video, that'd be great, about Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts. John Mara is the main problem. I agree. Juan says, I hope the Giants don't force the pick at 3 or trade up. If the number 2 quarterbacks are not there, take best player available. And Milroe, I can't take Milroe in the second round. This is what I don't get about Giant fans. No, and I'm not saying you, Juan. I'm just saying Giant fans in general. Milroe probably would have been 6th, 7th rounder last year. But people want to take him in the second round this year. The talent hasn't gotten any better. He still has issues throwing. I don't know. He still has issues throwing the ball. He's a quarterback who can run. That's what he is. And people are like, well, you need Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has 19 touchdowns in 4 games. One of them against Furman. One of them against Southern Georgia. Another one against Duke. And the other one, last game of the season, against Duke. And the other one's against Arkansas. 29 touchdowns. 19 came in 4 games. He beat Furman and Southern Georgia. Jackson Dart would not have been drafted last year. I said he would have been this year's Spencer Rattler. But somehow people are like, we're going to take Travis Hunter and then grab Dart in the second round. Matthew says, I was talking to James about this on Twitter. I do not want Sanders. If there is a way to get Ward, that has to be our focus. Otherwise, get a quarterback later. What's up, Off-Broadway? Well, lights on Broadway. Yeah. No, I'm fine with Sanders. I really am fine with Sanders. Philosophy Stoner, what's up? Good morning, Tim. What do you think about firing Jerome Henderson and the new D-backs? And you know what? Everyone remember Bobby Johnson? Bobby Johnson, R0B's favorite coach, evidently couldn't coach out of a paper bag in New York. I heard over and over again, worst defensive line. Well, the problem with Miller is compared to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts can actually throw the ball. Worst defensive line coach the Giants ever had. Keep hearing that. Worst they ever had. It goes to Washington. All of a sudden, Washington has one of the best offensive lines in the league. Now, before people sit there who lack the football acclimate and tell me, well, it's because I got Jalen Hurts and he's a running quarterback. Mark Schlereth, who I always want to punch in the back of the head because he stole my red striping, even said it best. A running quarterback as an offensive lineman is the worst quarterback ever to block for because you never know where they are, which gives you an opportunity to be an ineligible man downfield, or the fact that you're not sure what your blocking assignment is. So how all of a sudden does Bobby Johnson go from one team to the next, and he sucked here, but he's a fucking god over in D.C.? Oh, because it's talent. You can only coach talent. I didn't know Marshawn Lattimore is not traveling with the Washington. I think A.J. Brown should be happy about that. Monday Night Football, Mr. Football said about, MF Football said that about Kevin. Thank you. Oh, God. Oh, God, says Jay. Oh, God, what? I have a feeling Abdul Carter will go number 1. Abdul Carter. I know people are gaga about Abdul Carter. Spent 2 years as an off-the-ball linebacker at Penn State. Average. They noticed he has speed, and they noticed he has some ability to rush those 2 years, so they put him as defensive end. All of a sudden, he gets, 12 sacks this year? Here's the problem with Abdul Carter. Watch Abdul Carter play and go back to some of the other games. He's got this little shoulder dip move. And basically what he does is he uses his speed against slower offensive linemen, and he kind of dips down with his shoulder and kind of watch it and kind of goes around. So during the bowl game, watch it. We're going to bring it back here. Watch this. We're going to bring it back. Watch during the bowl game. He had a hurt shoulder. Couldn't do the dip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. Couldn't do that little dip move. They just pushed his ass to the ground. It's like O'Shane Ximines, 10.5 sacks last season, Old Dominion. 3rd round pick for the Giants, was it? It was speed guy with one move. Had 4.5 sacks his first season? Fell off the planet. Not saying Abdul Carter doesn't have talent. I am also saying this. You have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, who seem to be almost identical to, wait for it, Abdul Carter. It came from ML Football, the 4th round pick thing. Oh, thank you. Just seems, ECK says, just seems like a Titan pick. Oh, God, please take that jersey off. Never. I love this jersey. I'm going to wear this jersey forever. There's a good story behind the jersey. So, I mean, it's, it's one, Cooper DeJean, and I was talking to someone about it. Cooper DeJean, and my friend was like early in the season, goes, Cooper DeJean reminds me of you. Reminds me of the way you used to play. And he goes, he's that weird white guy hanging out with all the brothers. He goes, remind me exactly of you. So that's why I went on. I wore 20, but he wears 33. So. Smoke screen for Ward. Johnny ABA says, Joe Shane had the worst season for GM, and we had the front now seats because of Hard Knocks. To think there was an edited version to make him look good. What was cut? Joe Shane was. Johnny ABA is right. What was cut out of Hard Knocks? Because the Giants had creative control over what was shown. If this was the stuff that made Joe Shane look good, his son sitting on the couch saying you need to trade up against Jaden Daniels because you're not going to have this job forever. Fabian, what's up? I've been good. How have you been good? Doing good? Davey says, I thought John Mara making America great again by screwing the Giants. Next year, we'll have a better quarterback draft. No, next year's not much of a better quarterback draft either, to be honest. Arch Manning's not coming out to the following season. Manning stay 4 years. And you have a lineage of anything from Arch to Peyton to Eli to even Cooper. But Cooper, of course, got hurt as a wide receiver at Ole Miss. But they stay 4 years. I'm around, brother. All right, we're going to bring you on a little bit. The NFC matchup today was brought to you by Tommy DeVito and Joe Shane. I like that one. That was good. We can't wait until next year, and neither can Shane. I agree. Burn that jersey, buddy. Nope. Never. Never. And this is speaking from the heart. This is speaking from the heart. And I'm going to say this. If you are offended by me wearing an Eagles jersey, I have a row behind me. I have like a clothing rack of all jerseys from all different types of teams and coats and other things over there. So, and this is coming from the heart. If me wearing this jersey offends you, if me wearing someone got offended by the cowboy hat, the cowboy helmet, which is behind me. And I actually bought the cowboy helmet just to put it there. So I could see how many people got upset by it. So if me wearing this hat or this jersey or, the cowboy helmet offends you, from the heart, in all honesty, all I have to say is, fuck you! Moving on, Bills, Eagles. I like that. Actually, I would like that. Also sponsored by Daniel Jones contract. Bills will circle them wagons in KC today. Hope they do. I really hope they do, James. Oops, why is this not clicking on? Come on. All right, hold on. I gotta switch your mice. This mouse isn't clicking. There we go. Hope circling wagons today. What's up, Graham? Giants ownership, same Giants fans, never beaten the same race allegations. Read the room for once. Listen, I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. I do not think the Giants are an inherently racist organization. I do not think that. I think there is circumstance and reasoning and rationale behind the fact why they did not take a black quarterback going back to Phil Simms. Because the thing was, you had Phil Simms, 15 years, 14 years? And then, you had Dave Brown on the roster. And then you kind of went through that doldrums where you had Kerry Collins and Kent Graham, but you still made the playoffs. Then you had Kerry Collins that took you to the Super Bowl. Then you grabbed Kurt Warner. Then you grabbed Eli Manning for 16 years. There's not much of an opportunity. Now, could they, outside of Andre Woodson, could they have drafted someone, an African black quarterback or whatever you want to say in one of the other rounds? Yeah. But if you have Ward and Sanders sitting there at 3 and you go and you take like an Abdul Carter or go a different direction, then I got dumb. then I got some concerns. Dom says, I'm rooting for Washington, but I say I'm happy to see Saquon carry the team to the Super Bowl. We did him so dirty. We did. I love the one play where Saquon basically looking at like Hurts and saying, just give me the ball, man. Give me the fucking rock. And then he goes 76 yards in the snow. Worst roster in the league. Quoting you, Tim, or at least paraphrasing. Yeah, that's true. Nick McLeod. Things exposed Joe Shane. He really did. Kevin says, peace, Tim. What about Brian Burns? Davey says, when you Google Gaga Rick Willis, you went Google Gaga Rick Willis, so neither Sanders will be good or bad. Okay, so Malik Willis had more wins this year than Daniel Jones at 3. Should have had 4 by beating the Bears, but his defense gave up that last field goal after he gave them the lead after being down by 13. I already said it. Malik Willis should never start at the first year. Should have maybe came in the second year, played a little bit. Third year was going to be his year. So we look at that and we see Matt LaFleur basically say, we're not getting rid of Malik Willis. We don't make the playoffs with him. And Malik Willis started a game 10 days after being traded and after going to Brazil. 10 days later, he started a game and won. And then the next week he beat his old team. But you know what? We've said it before, and I love Davey. Sometimes intelligence isn't always there. Johnny ABA says, I agree, Tim. The Mannings are business people, too. They are not going to want Archie in New York and cannibalize Eli's market. That's probably, let's not forget, they kind of screwed Eli they kind of did screw Eli, but little people forget about that. Mike says, what moves has Wild E made that people have confidence that he can fix the ship? Oh, he made a bad salary cap situation worse. I don't understand how you literally can take a salary cap, which was maybe a year away from turning it around. Did you get my email about Neighbors? I don't know. I don't have my email on this computer. I will look. I will look. Hold on. Let me see. Everyone just sit tight. I'm going to see if I got my email from Greg. I probably did, Greg. I probably did. You said it's online, Tim at Online Big Blue, because I don't have access to that email down here. I will have to look at it. I'll have to look at it later, Greg. No, I have not had an opportunity. Why don't you just tell us what's going on with Sanders? I mean, what's going on with our old buddy over there? James says, well, we get to see one of the NFC East teams battle out, which goes to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the Giants are at home watching on TV because the team is a shit show. Thanks for the pain. Andrew Thomas, Graham Gano, Dexter Lawrence. I don't even take Graham Gano anymore. Gano Matic is not a guy. Good morning, C. Sanders. What's up? ECK says, Milrow is such a bad prospect. You're right. Big Tim G family off Broadway, 718 come in. Furman is a powerhouse. Furman, for that do not know, is the South's leading liberal arts college. You can paint. You can do media, advertising, sculpting, read Dead Sea Scrolls. We read the list of NFL players from Furman. It was long and illustrious. Lamar can run when he came out too. Look how that worked out. Lamar was not a bad passer at Louisville. I watched a lot of Louisville college games. He was not a bad passer. It was the way the offense was built. Everyone had concerns about Josh Allen. Josh Allen in Wyoming, yes, it was raw, but you watch the way he played. It's the same thing. Jaden Milroe just does not give that same vibe. I'd rather reach for McCord than Milroe, but not in the first or second round. Kyle McCord is another one. Big Don from Texas loves Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord, to me, is a guy that, again, would not be drafted this year. Last year. Would not even be in the top 10 of quarterbacks. Sam Hartman. But we have to see what he is. I don't really compare Milroe to I don't really compare that. Sanders' hype is overrated. I don't think Sanders' hype is overrated at all. I really don't. Sanders is going to be a good player. I just think people all of a sudden have turned on him. Well, thank you for the pimp name. Slip back in the house says with the big super chat. Tim, those of us who are calling for Daniels last year, this time, Washington's roster hasn't been amazing. Can you imagine how good they're going to be with him in a few years? Before the season started, I kept telling people I was very high on the Washington roster. I still thought they were going to be like a 7 to 8 win team because I said they went out and got a lot of veteran talent, kind of like what Gettleman did with the Panther team that went 15-1. He went out and got all this older talent. It all paid off, which got him to the Super Bowl. But I kept telling people the defense of Washington's going to be so much better. And they didn't fix all the problems on the offensive line, so they went out and got Bobby Johnson. But they made their team better. And I kept saying to people, Jaden Daniels, if he has a average rookie season, this is a 7 to 8 win team. And actually, I had them behind the Cowboys. I had the Cowboys and the Eagles making the playoffs, and I had 7-8 wins for Washington, and I said the Giants were going to be anywhere between a 4 to 5 win team. And I kept saying to people, it's going to be about coaching. It's how they coach up Jaden. It's how they put him into a system. They spent their salary cap wise because they didn't overpay and they didn't overextend by years to hurt them down the road. And this is a product, after so many years of Dan Snyder running this team into the fucking ground, Washington is a product of doing things right and finding your quarterback. That's all it is. Tim, who is your go-to free agent guy? Honestly, I don't know yet because I got to wait and see who's going to be truly free agents. Because there's always guys that you think are going to hit the free agent market and then get tagged. So we have to kind of wait. We got to wait and see a little bit. Tim, your GM and you can make all the moves of free agency. Who would you want? I can't tell you what I want. I tell you what I want. I can't tell you who I want right now because I don't know yet. I want some outside linebackers. Right off the bat. You're probably dumping Okereke. I want 2 outside linebackers. They don't have to be stars. I want 2 outside linebackers, both who can play. Wait for it. A little bit of a say-so here, dramatic pause. Who can play the run. Who understand their assignments, because you have 2 defensive ends who have no ability to play the run. You see everything. You see everyone basically running the Packer sweep. Where like he said, you block here, and you create an alley. That's what Lombardi said. And then you run the ball in the alley. That's what they do, off tackle, every time. Why? Because our ends are undersized, they overcommit, and they don't play the run well. And I need some corners, and I need some offensive linemen. There's too many things. All I know is Josh Hart had another triple-double with my Knicks. Can go play New York. Go, New York. Go, New York. Go. Quickly about the Knicks. OG Anunoby finally had a 33-point game last night. Bridges gets killed night in and night out. OG Anunoby, a month ago, had that 40-point game, and then really has done nothing for like 20 games outside of playing good defense and some rebounding. He's done nothing. But somehow we gave him $200 million. We don't bother him, but we get Bridges because of all the picks we gave up. Bridges is a bum, even though he's having a better season than OG Anunoby. But no one's touching OG Anunoby. I don't know why. Let's see here. We had a hand in turning the NFC East teams around. We really did. We really did. Johnny ABA says people are offended by the jersey of the same people enabling this garbage. That's what's going. That's it. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. It's a fucking jersey. It's a piece of cloth. If it offends you, then you got other problems in life. Watch Daniel Jones make the Pro Bowl next year. Daniel Jones isn't even going to be on the roster. Never fear, OGR is here. What's going on, Tim? And the chat. Greg says, I would put house money on the Skins. Hail to the Redskins. Yeah. I don't know. I gotta go. I gotta go Birds. Go Birds. Chill on OGR. Tim wants a Frankenstein quarterback to make his specifications. Yes, I have a quarterback that I would like to make his specifications, but I am not allowed to clone. My wife specifically told me, you could do whatever you want in the basement. You can make it the man cave. You can make it a studio. You can make it an office. You can have a 7-foot Bigfoot. You can have the stormtrooper bartender. You can do whatever you want in the basement, but no cloning. There's a rule. There's a sign. No cloning. Which would you? Let's see. Where would you would rank Sanders in last year's draft? I probably would put Sanders on the same level as Drake May. I would have still gone Caleb, Jaden, and then I would have had probably even. And I probably would have given the nudge a little bit with the season that he had. I probably would have given the nudge a little bit more to Sanders. So I would have gone Caleb, Jaden, Sanders, May. OGR, Kevin Abram for GM. Let's see. Matthew says we need to finally move Neil to get our guards to the show. And we might finally, I don't know. But do we have the offensive line coach to do it? Oh, ECK says, I don't want to cut Okereke. We saved $3 million by cutting him, and he still had a good season. He is having the season. He had the second year season of he was second season of like I said, Blake Martinez. And like I said, if you want to move on from somebody, and you want to move on from him because he's going to give you, because like I said, everyone wants all this cap space because we all know that Joe Shane is going to do wonders with all this cap space because it's just what he does. He takes his cap space and literally does nothing with it. But Okereke, as we already figured out, or most of us figured out, we overpaid for an off the ball linebacker in Okereke. We overpaid. Let's just be honest about it. We overpaid by about $4 million a season. And if you take a look right now, you got to remember, people forget there's a $2 million prorated restructure on his contract. We would have a $6 million cap hit if we kept Okereke. So like I said, that's his cap number now. But that's for 2025. That's right. No, that was 2024. Yes, but he still has the $2.4 million restructure. I keep forgetting about that damn restructure. But to me, he is a guy that you can save almost $7 million if you get rid of, and he's not a guy that I look at and say he's going to be good. He's going to be still good when this team is hold on, what's going on? From now until 1. Let's see here. Let's see. Hold on one second. I can do. Let's see here. All right, I gotta take care of that text message. Let's see here. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh my God, people. All right, where are we? Okay, now let me finish this. Okay, let's see here. Off Broadway says, we're looking in the draft and trades that Joe Shane doesn't have a real plan to build this team. He's going to get off the rails in free agency. I agree with you. Move to Neil. Imagine having Thomas Neal playing well. I would just be happy if Thomas wasn't hurt. Hurts sucks so bad that NFCC championship game for the second time in 4 years. Greg says, what does Greg say? I think the draft starts with the number 3 pick. To be honest, someone will overpay for a quarterback. Hopefully it's not us, and we will have the best position available. When did the Giants not overpay? All the time. Oh, we got R0B. R0B. We were literally just talking about you. We were literally just talking about the venerable R0B. Saying, how much does take a poll. How many people miss R0? I'm not R0. How many people miss Bobby Johnson? Of course, R0B hated, we talked about it earlier. He hated Bobby Johnson. Sucked. Now he's got one of the best offensive lines in the league. And I'm going to say it again before anyone says it. Mark Schlereth said it best. A running quarterback is the worst quarterback to block for because you never know where he is. So you can't use that as an excuse. Oh, Greg. Not Greg. My ears are ringing. James, I'm gonna drop the needle on the record. Put the link in the chat, James. I told James he could come on because I haven't talked to James in a little bit, so I'm gonna throw that there. Let's see here. Cody says, Tim, have a good day. Tim, you too, guys. Let's see here. Matt says, currently as a Giant fan, I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants the most. I just wish the Giants would not make the same mistakes repeatedly. Let's see. Be ready. By 11. Hold on. I'm sending text messages. I know I'm being unprofessional. I love when people tell me someone told me the other day, you know what? Your show's not very professional. I never said we were. I love it. They're like, you need to have overlays. You need to have this. You need to have that. And I tell the people, listen, if you want to make overlays and you want to do that shit, go right ahead because I don't know how to fucking do it. I want to thank all the people that are also following on that other social media page. Let's see here. Davey says, so tell me when you want, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I hope Giant fans realize we are the new Commanders. We have a great quarterback and a smart front office. Listen, I'd be happy if we just literally had a direction. If we had an idea of a direction, that's what I'd be happy with. If we had this thought process that we are going to go the right way, but we just don't. We just don't head down that right way. We just don't head down that path. And I wish we would. Glenn says, who would you take in the second round? Well, that's, and I always love these questions because it's always like, who's available? This right now, this is a draft in my mind that you're going to be looking more on the defensive side of the ball. And I keep saying this before, if it is me, and people hate this idea, but I don't care. I trade a 28-year-old who will be 29 in the season, Dexter Lawrence. I trade him now. Why? He's at his highest trade value. Yeah, you're going to take a little bit of a cap hit this year, but you can't trade Andrew Thomas at 26 years old, who even has a worse cap number. But you trade him, you try to get a bottom first-round pick, maybe a 3 and a 6. And I don't say you have to do it in this draft. Trade out into 2026, which I think is going to be a better draft. Get assets. And people are like, well, do you really want Joe Shane to have those picks? I'm not thinking Joe Shane's going to be here in 2026. So you could potentially have 2 first-round picks, maybe an additional third, maybe a 5th. Get value for a play. Going back to Landon Collins, we never get value. We just let them go and become an all-pro and have second most interceptions in the league last year. And Xavier McKinney. Let go running back that runs for 2,000 yards. Julian Love, who came back hat in hand, won $5 million when you wanted to give him 10, but you said, no, we're happy with our safety positions. We never get value. Get some value. You could have got rid of Darius Slayton, even if you got a 6th-round pick for Darius Slayton. What would have been wrong with that? That's value instead of getting nothing in return. OG said it starts with which actually John Mara's fault. To be honest, at this point, there is no denying that. Oh, I agree. Greg says the Giants organization is foolish. They fire position coaches when it's obvious the defense coordinator schemes that the problem with players just don't regress from one year to the next. Shane Bowen, I said it before. I didn't like the hire. Hated the Shane Bowen hire. Hated the Shane Bowen hire from day one. Because if you looked at his body of work outside the 2 years with Jim Schwartz in Tennessee, he's not a good coordinator. And then I love it because he's like, well, he's going to go with Mike Vrabel. Even Mike Vrabel didn't want him this year. Really didn't. You could have had a really good defensive coordinator last year if you just waited till the playoffs was over. Because some guy got fired that I think would have been a great fit for the Giants. But instead, we panic moved because of everything that went on with Wink. And we've told the Wink story because we had the inside scoop on the Wink story. But you panicked. And you got a guy that didn't fit the talent. That didn't fit Mr. McCormick. Good morning, handsome. Well, thank you, Mr. McCormick. That's why I always enjoy Mr. McCormick. He always makes my day. We didn't have the talent to play his defense, and he was never good at cultivating his defensive secondary in the corner position. And then people wonder why Banks took a step back. And I love everyone going gaga, over Drew Phillips, who the league completed 70+% of their passes against for almost 10 yards of play. They all talk about his tackles. Yeah, but your job as a defensive back is to prevent the guy, Patrick Surtain Jr., from catching the ball. Not letting him catch it, then make the tackle. Just ask Aaron Robinson. Are we missing? Are we just not seeing something here? I just keep thinking that people are we not seeing this? Now, well, Pro Football Poker said Drew Phillips had a great season. Okay, well, his job as a corner is to prevent people from completing passes against him. Somehow, Banks had a similar season to Phillips because Banks gave up more completions this year than he ever gave up the year before. But somehow, Phillips had a better season than Banks because he was a rookie. But he gave up just the same amount of completions, same amount of yards, same amount of... Oh, it makes my head hurt. Last year, I said we'd come in last the NFC East. I'm a prophet. You're a poet and didn't even know it. Mike Lee says, what would you do with the third pick of Ward and Sanders are off the board? I trade back. And I don't trade back into this draft. I know it's not going to be a popular move. Drew Phillips, Pro Football gave you 70. Well, then he's on crack. I love that because then they are on crack if literally they gave Drew Phillips that type of ranking. And Pro Football. We all know we all call it Pro Football Jokers. We always call them that. Everyone knows that. But like I said, you take a look at the way he played. And like I said, I'm an idiot. I went to most of the home games and I watched all the games because I'm a moron. And I looked at a guy that didn't have an interception since high school until that gimme interception that he had. But most people are going to go gaga. Oh, I love it. People are going to go gaga over those 71 tackles, but they are going to forget that he gave up 75% completion percentage for 335 yards, 9.3 yards a completion, 7 yards. They were targeting him 7 yards down the field for a 91.9 quarterback rating. And the only reason that rating dropped to under 100 is because he had the interception. They completed 36 passes for 48 on 48 attempts against him. And this is a guy going in the last game of the season that had 0 pass defenses. Had 0 batted balls. I mean, he had a missed tackle percentage of almost 8. A good corner's missed tackle percentage usually is around 4 to 5, maybe 4. He doubled that at 8 because he likes the shoulder tackle. Oh my God. Let's see. Trade out for Archie Manning. Let's see here. Joe Shane's job's on the line. No shot he trades. Needs him to try and win now. No, there's no better quarterback than Archie Manning. Look up the sellers from NFC State. Well, in advance, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, or Deadman walk in. Let's hope Shane gets value. I hope Shane does get value. I'm going to put the James isn't around. I'm going to put the I don't have much time. I'm going to put the link people, if you want to come on. I'm going to put the link in the description because we are a professional show. So if anyone wants to come on and extol the virtues of who they think is going to win today on either of these games, or just talk about the overvalue of the Giants. Mike Lee says we overvalue our talent. That is the problem. Next year's number one pick, we are picking number one. I worry that that's going to be our thought process. We're going to suck this year. We're going to get number one. Then we're going to win a meaningless game and drop down to 3 again. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. I always forget to say that. Don't forget the like button. And to all the people listening on that other, whatever it's called, that other social media thing. Thank you. Hit the like button. If you want to jump in the chat, you want to jump online real quick. Here you go, guys. I got a little bit more time so I can listen to everyone. I knew someone was going to jump in the chat. As soon as I put out the invitation, Dr. Evil shows up. Is he a Bond villain? Is he a soccer fan? Does he have the ability to speak New York Football Giants? It's, of course, the venerable OGR Sports.
What's going on?
What's going on, Mr. OGR Sports?
Not too much. Just chilling, watching soccer with my son.
Watching soccer. I'm not going to call child services because I think that's child abuse. Making your child watch soccer.
He wants to watch soccer.
Yeah.
All right. You can ask him yourself.
You're right. No, it's okay. That's okay because he might tell the truth and say he does want to watch soccer. Outside of the Arsenal, after that big win of the Arsenal the other day, I don't know if they won. Just
it did 1-0. 1-0. Good job.
1-0. I knew they won. They're like the Arsenal's like the Giants.
Oh boy, Dom's not gonna like that one.
What? I always tell Dom that all the time. What do you think? First of all, who are you picking Super Bowl?
Who am I picking for the Super Bowl? I want to see, if I have the year correct, I want to see a rematch of the 1991 Super Bowl, Buffalo and Washington.
I do remember them playing, but I don't remember if it was 91. But is that the Mark Rippon game?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was 91.
Because the Giants were 90, 91, Dallas was 92, 93, Skip 94, 95, I believe.
So who's win? If you have that, who's winning that?
If I have that, who's winning that? Buffalo.
Buffalo. So you're taking Buffalo. All right. Okay. So Buffalo is finally going to break the Super Bowl hump. Or I'm sorry.
That's what she said.
And what is it? 5 Super Bowl appearances for Buffalo?
Yes.
So they're finally 6th time is going to be the charge. Or is it 5 or 4? I think it's 4.
It's 4.
4 times.
So what they played Dallas twice. They played Dallas twice, lost. They lost
and
then they lost to Washington.
Yeah. So it is 4 times. So 5th time is going to be the charm for the Buffalo Bills.
We'll see. But I would hope so. I think that's the team that most deserves it right now. And I think with the addition, because I always felt, even though Josh Allen can run, I think the addition of the run game and the fact that they have the ability to lean on it, I think really helps them close out games, helps them, kind of throw teams off balance. I mean, Josh Allen he did what he needed to do in last week's game, but it wasn't like extremely impressive.
I think the big question is this. Can Buffalo overcome the refs?
You're on that train too with Kansas City. I mean,
Listen. I was never on this train with Kansas City. We're going to get back to the Giants in a second. I was never on this train with Kansas City till last week. And there were so many penalties and roughing the passer penalties that I'm like, it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Listen, I'm not one of these conspiracy theory guys, but I'm
definitely not.
I'm sitting there watching this going, some of these motherfuckers got some points here. Because then I watch Lamar Jackson get blasted out of bounds. No flag. And then I see Jalen Hurts get blasted out of bounds. Hurts his knee. No flag. I see someone go, oh, that's a flag. 15 yards. 15 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 15.
Imagine if they would have given the 15 yards on the flop out of bounds. Oh my God.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking, I'm going, it's LeBron. Thank you. Because I was like, it's LeBron. People are like, well, LeBron's this tough guy drives in the middle. Did you ever see LeBron play? LeBron, if you put LeBron in the 90s, even at his size, against the hack attack of like the 90 Knicks, would be in a fucking coma.
Go before that. Go Bad Boy Pistons with Bill Laimbeer. Close letting people in the lane.
Close. I mean, people forget Rodman was on that team. I mean, you. But no, listen. And then there was some penalty. There was like a holding call. There was a couple other penalties I'm looking at, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm like, did they change the rules? Because these aren't penalties.
All right. So I want to get your opinion. I'm going to ask you a question now. Are we going to get a similar Pat Summerall moment at the end of the game where he's, the echoes of Pat Summerall will be like, there will be no 3-peat?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope so. First of all, I'm not James is the Buffalo fan. I'm not a Buffalo fan. Because of the fact that they take all their garbage and give it to us. And the dumbasses that we are, we take it. I'm sorry, my wife just sent me a text message. She just killed me. So, and I'm not a Kansas City fan. I like Kansas City because of Spags, which is about it. And I want to see him succeed.
I mean, the only reason I've rooted for Kansas City the last 2 years in the playoffs, because, I like Kansas City. My uncle's a big Kansas City fan, but I don't want to see him there a third time. So I just want to see something new.
I love this by C. Sanders. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, Joe Shane has to be fired immediately.
He should. He won't be, though.
Listen, you know what the thing is this, and yes, I understand Saquon Barkley does not rush for 2,000 yards with the Giants. I get that. But I've also said this over and over again. Saquon Barkley, even on a bad team, is good for 3 to 4 wins. How many wins have we had? How many wins do we have this year without Saquon compared to the years we had him?
Oh no, I think we're at least a 5-win team if we have Saquon this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's great, but he is a you know what? You don't want to use that term, gold jacket guy.
Yeah.
But if he puts up another, let's say he puts up another 2-3 seasons in Philadelphia, which I think he can. Not saying 2,000 yards, but like 13, 14, like Tiki Barber type seasons at the end of his career. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And Dave Gettleman was right.
That's what sucks. That's what fucking sticks in my craw. Why do people hate Shedeur Sanders? Where does Shedeur? I don't remember fans with him.
For me, I can't speak for everybody else, but when I see Shedeur step up against average competition, not good competition, average competition, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's offensive line. Okay, great. Nebraska's not a world beater.
No.
And he looked awful in that game. And every time he steps up, I just don't see it. Anytime he's going against competition that's equal to or less than, they cream him. Like, show me a game where you're like, where they were going up against good competition or even solid competition. You were like, wow, Shedeur's really making the difference in this game. I mean, he's got a wide receiving crew that nobody else in college football has. His wide receiving crew is awesome. He had the best player in college football on his team, and he was throwing the ball to. And none of those guys, I mean, Joe Horn Jr. is no slouch.
No, he's not.
And then what is it, Webster? I think. I mean, that's a great wide receiving crew. There was a lot of talent on that Colorado team. The only problem with that team is the trenches.
Okay, first of all, they didn't play a lot of ranked teams this year. Colorado,
and they're not going.
They played an 18th ranked Kansas City State. They lost that one 31-28. Mm-hmm. Sanders completed 85% of his passes for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. Was he the reason why he was sacked 6 times? Was he the reason why they lost that game?
No, They weren't. He wasn't.
Okay.
Nebraska was.
So that is a top 20 ranked team.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now he also went against BYU in the bowl game. I think a lot of people after that bowl game kind of felt not in love with him because he was 16 for 23 for 208, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And he didn't look as proficient as he did in certain games this year. They kind of, to me, the BYU defense, the way they play in the secondary, kind of people will say it kind of exposed his ability to read more exotic coverage schemes.
If you even go back to his time before Colorado, and I watched the bowl game they played again, I have a problem with quarterbacks, and this is why I don't think Lamar will ever make a Super Bowl, and why I think Shedeur Sanders may be a good quarterback, but I just don't see him, being that Super Bowl winning quarterback you need. It's in big games, in big moments, he tries to do too much. He'll hold on to the ball too long. He'll try to make that pass across his body, where somebody like Cam Ward, I fall in love with because the calmness in the pocket. That's what I love. And the fact that Cam Ward, did everything he could to take Miami where he was. I mean, Miami defense was just awful.
I actually think that Miami's offensive talent in regards to the wide receiver position, even with Travis Hunter, was better than Colorado's.
I disagree.
Now Cam Ward though. Okay. See, we're always going to do these fun things here because Cam Ward did lose 3 of his last 4 games.
Right.
Against Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse. He beat Wake Forest, but he lost to Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and Iowa State. And of course, they took him out of the game in that bowl game, which I don't agree with. That that they should have done that. But
they were a bowl game if they didn't take him out.
Right, I know, but I'm just saying. Now we take a look at the Georgia Tech game because you were talking about how you like Sanders, how he extends the plays, how he does this. It was Sanders who fumbled or had the ball knocked out of his hand in that Georgia Tech game because of the fact that he spent too much time in the pocket looking downfield.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Cam Ward does have his.
But that's playing Georgia Tech.
I understand that. That's fine and dandy, but I mean, not every player is going to play their best game. I see.
But that's what. There you go. So Shedeur Sanders against BYU did not play his best game.
But anytime he has stepped up in competition, besides the Kansas State game, he has looked pedestrian. Whereas Cam Ward, you can go through his body of work. A lot of times, maybe it wasn't. I think that more or less the team around him failed. Like the Syracuse game, he did everything possible to win that game.
Oh, I agree. That was
his defense.
That was the Colin McCord game.
Yeah. So the defense failed him in that aspect. Where I can't always say that about Sanders. I'm not telling you. And even going back to last year, yeah, there's certain times where yes, the defense did fail.
In 2020,
I'm not going to say that.
In 2023, did the defense fail Shedeur Sanders against Oregon, Southern California, Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, and Arizona?
Some of those games, yes. Some of those games, no.
Because
the Oregon game, hell no. I mean, they were going to get their blown story.
But if you look at those losses, he threw. Let's see here. And those losses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He threw, let's see here, 5, 10, let's see here, 11, 15. So 16. In those losses, he threw 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
No, he can take care of the football.
Hold on, wait, we got James. James is sitting here, and we got Philosophy Stoner. I got to drop everyone in because I'm gonna have to drop out in a little bit. What's up, Philosophy Stoner? What's up, James? James, you had this look about you when OGR was talking. you have to have a beer.
Well, I'm starting. Got a big game today. Got to circle the wagons. What up, y'all?
Wait, it is 11 o'clock. So you're fine.
So James, are you going to go through a table at some point today?
Only if the refs make me. Only if the refs make me, because we got to play.
Celebration as a proper Buffalo.
Oh, you mean like Bill's Mafia? Yeah, you know, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna kick some garbage cans down the street before the game.
Right now, James and I are wearing the preview of the Super Bowl.
Hopefully.
Here we go. James and I have the preview of the Super Bowl right here.
Hopefully.
It's gonna be the John Mustard against the Allen, against the hot dog.
As long as the Allen wins in that scenario.
Mr. Philosopher. Hold on. We got to get to the Mr. Philosopher a second. Who are you picking today?
I got Eagles for sure. Sorry, getting over a cold. And then I got I hate to say it, man. I don't think the Bills can beat the Chiefs. They got their safety what's his name? Rap is out.
Rap. Yep.
Yeah, and I just don't think they got the firepower offensively to compete with the Chiefs, man. The Chiefs are when you know who Mr. Mahomes gets going, man, it gets scary.
Yeah, especially with those refs.
Right.
Listen, like I said with OGR, I was never a Mahomes and the refs guy. I never thought about that. I don't know. Last week and the week before that, I'm kind of like, okay, there's something. There's the funniest video I saw was one of the shorts was on YouTube was where the little boy got a Patrick Mahomes jersey for Christmas, and he opens it up and it's a referee's jersey. You know? I was like, you know what? There might be just a little something. We're gonna go around the top real quick. So we were talking about, and we're gonna start with James. We were talking about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I was arguing a little bit with OGR because that's just what I do. But everyone knows I like Ward better than Sanders. But I've said it before. I would take either or. James, would you take either? If you had the choice of both, who would you take first? And would your second choice make you upset?
I would take Cam first, but that's more so because he's just a bigger and more polished prospect. But if Cam was gone and Shedeur is sitting there at 3, like I said in the comment section, please, Cleveland or Tennessee, please do what Cleveland and Tennessee do best, and that's mess up the draft. Please take Hunter and his girlfriend, take Abdul Carter, take Jimmy Swaggart, I don't care, just leave Shedeur or Cam there at 3, one of them. We should be thanking the heavens if one of those two guys fall to 3, either one. But I would take Cam. I was listening to you guys. And OGR, real quick point about Sanders and Oregon. My school, Ohio State, national champions. They just ran through the gauntlet. They just destroyed Oregon, but Oregon also beat Ohio State earlier in the year. So Oregon is a real tough school. You know, they have a lot of talent there. I don't really like the quarterback, but that's not an easy place to go play or a team to play. And Shedeur, you know, as Tim pointed out, he didn't really turn the ball over a lot in those B games. He didn't perform as well as we would have liked to see. I will admit that, of course, but he didn't like just screw the pooch either in those games. You know, his defense let him down a lot, as you said too, OGR.
We have to address the poll though. Okay, the poll, it was 3 minutes and 43 seconds before James made the announcement that Ohio State won national championship. We had a poll saying how long was it going to take for James to come on and say, oh, you know, when Ohio State won the national championship. So it was
sorry. Did I say that?
It was 3 minutes and 43 seconds. So whoever had 3 minutes and 43 seconds, you win the poll. Mr. Philosopher, same question. Ward, Sanders, which one you want first? And if the other one was there at 3, would you still be happy with the pick?
I like Ward more, just like James was saying, a little more physically. I think he has more physical tools. My issue with Shedeur is when I look at him, there's nothing that stands out from a physical perspective, but he got that je ne sais quoi, that it factor. You know, it's something about him. It's probably the lineage, the blood in him. He comes from special stock. So there's something about Shedeur, and he plays the quarterback position like an actual quarterback. He reads the defense. I think he does struggle at times with more complex defense. He got exposed by BYU,
big time.
but It is what it is. I mean, everybody's not going to have a good game every single game. We're all humans. So, from what I see, obviously Cam would go first, then Shador. I like Shador. I would take Shador. I think Shador actually has the highest floor out of all the QBs in this draft. If you just look at him, he had a trash O line, no running game, none. And he still produced almost every single game. Even in his bad games, there would be some semblance of offense. He's not Daniel Jones. So I'll take him.
And he was sacked 52 times. And I always tell people, because I've also heard this from other people, that he just doesn't have that quarterback look, that quarterback build. Does Patrick Mahomes have that? Because I see that big ass mushroom type helmet and that little tiny body and running around. I look at Patrick Mahomes, go, if I saw Patrick Mahomes on the street, I'm not going NFL quarterback.
Well, the thing, so real quick, the thing is, Patrick Mahomes has an insanely special arm.
Right.
Insanely special arm. I don't really see that with Shador's arm. Shador has a decent NFL arm, but not like oh my God, this guy has an insane arm. So that's my issue with Shador, is just from a physical perspective, there's nothing special about him. But look at Tom Brady. There was nothing special about Tom Brady, and we saw how that ended up.
Well, we saw those 7th round photos of Tom Brady with his shirt off at the combine. That's Cream is in the chat saying Saquon has more yards than Tracy with our slightly better offensive line. We also have Mr. Sanders, who I love right here, saying Mahomes wears number 15 for the penalty yards.
That's good. That's a good one.
I love that one. I love that one completely. Does anyone in this continuum? This is our super friends. Well, no, 3 super friends and Lex Luthor. Anyone in this continuum? Does anyone here like Jackson Dart? And if so, why?
No.
Nope.
Furman.
He beat Furman, the #1 Southern liberal arts college.
Liberal. Oh my God.
I literally had to go on their website and look up. I'm like, what the fuck does Furman do? What do toxicology school? Do they do? I didn't know. #1 liberal arts college. When the guy is there to study art or Dead Sea Scrolls, they're always the best talent football-wise.
Absolutely.
If you guys,
you know what? It's the hair. It's the hair. It's the hair.
It's the flowing hair. It's the Sam Hartman hair. Is there, and anyone can answer first, is there any quarterback in this draft in 2025 outside of the top 2 that anyone would be interested in bringing in? And I'm not saying 2nd round, because I don't think there's any of these quarterbacks that are worth the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick. But is there anyone out there that you guys would be interested in bringing in to potentially be either backup talent or maybe someone that could be groomed to be a starter? That's not a cesur, guys. That's not a dramatic pause. That is no.
Well, the pickings are slim. The pickings are slim.
What about your guy? What about your guy, James?
Who, my dude? Howard,
national championship guy.
Listen, man. 2 things I gotta say. I'm happy Ohio State won, but in this new NIL thing, which I'm adjusting to, where the announcers are like, well, they have the most expensive college team in the nation. And I was like, and I had to look it up, and I was like, well, if you go out and buy the best players, then how, kind of like you guys were talking about, like with, Cam Ward or Sanders, who had the more talent on their schools. Like Will Howard had a lot of talent around him. I mean, the guy Smith, the wide receiver, he'd probably be a top 10, top 5 pick, So I like Howard, but he had an all-star squad around him, so is he really that good? Because I've watched, again, it's the same cat who lost to Michigan. And I know that's a rivalry game, but he played pretty bad against Michigan. He had a couple games this year where he didn't play that great. I know he turned it around in time for the playoff when it mattered, and that's great, but he has the physical look, but he has the look of it, but I'm an Ohio State guy, and I'm not sold on Will Howard. I'd probably take Urs before I took Howard.
James and I are texting during the first half of that game, and I keep telling James, I said, oh my God, Will Howard is now going to be the object of every Giant fan's eye because of the fact that at that point in time he was like 12 for 13 for 2 touchdowns, and I was like,
he started. Yeah,
thank God he dropped off in the second half.
I will give Will Howard a slight excuse. He did have offensive line struggles in the beginning of the year. I still wouldn't take him, but I will say that.
But why?
But you know what's funny, James? Anytime
What?
Ohio State has offensive struggles, I Penn State Nittany Lions, but somehow your friends end up blocking better. I love it.
All right, I'm going to throw out one name. And I want everyone to think, and again, whoever wants to go first, this is like, I got to get a buzzer. Whoever wants to go first, I'm going to throw out one name. Ready? J.J. McCarthy.
Whatever they said. Word. Whatever they said.
Whatever's going on over there, that's who we go.
Word.
J.J. McCarthy.
The guy we haven't even seen throw an NFL pass yet?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Have you heard of him?
You know, the guy we could have drafted last year and passed on.
Some people, some Giant fans, I'm not saying who, want to take the 3rd pick, and this is what you keep hearing, and send it to the Vikings for the 10th overall pick last year, coming off the ACL injury for J.J. McCarthy. Why? Can everyone give me a rationale? Besides the fact we don't have a quarterback, but can anyone just give me a reason, a rationale, anything?
There is no rationale. That looks like what Arizona did before they drafted Kyler Murray. They gave away a top pick for what's his face.
They did get a 2 and a 5 though for Josh Rosen.
They did get a 2 and a 5, but they also looked like idiots in the process until they got.
People also forget they traded up to get Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
That kind of balances. So no, if the Giants, is there any logical, let's say, trade that you would like to see for somebody like a JJ McCarthy, if you even want a JJ McCarthy?
I don't want JJ McCarthy, but we're so desperate at quarterback. Like if we gave like our back end 3rd round pick for JJ, and the Vikings were willing to accept that because they were okay with Josh or Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones being the backup. Yeah, okay.
I got more of an opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings than Sam Darnold does next year.
Oh yeah, I agree, but still,
I don't see him.
The
James,
Vikings are not the most intelligent.
have you met Joe Shane? Joe Shane's like, here, OG, hold my beer. Reference the most intelligent.
Oh, give the 3rd overall pick for JJ.
I win that one, Mr. Philosopher. Any trade that would make you happy to go after JJ McCarthy, or would you even want to go after JJ?
No JJ for me. I'm just spitballing here. Give me like a 3rd or a 4th for Hendon Hooker. Let's see what he could do.
Now, in reference to Hendon Hooker, the Detroit Lions thought so much of Hendon Hooker that Teddy Bridgewater, after his team won the high school national championship, they're not playing for 12, 14 weeks, not even be on the roster, brought him back. And was the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions in the playoff. Does that worry you at all? I mean, I like Hendon Hooker coming out of college. I'm just curious if that worries you at all.
Well, that's why I said I'm just spitballing, man. We don't have really any real options, bro.
I like Hendon Hooker. I actually liked Hendon Hooker a lot coming out of Tennessee before he had that injury. But like I said, I'm just curious. I mean, like I said, I would send, if you want Hendon Hooker, I would send him a 6th, maybe a 7th. I would do that. James,
how about this? This is really crazy. Our 2nd round pick is pretty high this year, right? It's pretty good. It's like late 1st round almost. So what if we took our 2nd round pick and Kayvon Thibodeau and called up the Patriots and said, hey, that guy Joe Milton over there, you don't need him. You got Drake. You got the Drake. Why don't you give us Joe? Smoking Joe. I would try to do that.
I don't even think they would bite, to be honest with you.
I know they wouldn't, but I'm just saying I would try.
I think they're good at letting his stock rise.
Yeah. And also, I think they might look at that and say, no, we don't want Kayvon.
Damn it. We have to get rid of Kayvon. We have to get rid of Kayvon.
It might be like, what's funny? We think Kayvon's already here. because we never see him. So maybe he is in New England.
Damn it. Ghost.
By the way, Tim, you mentioned Jackson Dart. You were talking about. I saw a video. You talked about his Kentucky film.
Yeah.
The film that made me physically sicker than I already am, is this film against Florida. It was fucking
Florida?
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I went with the Kentucky game because of the fact that Kentucky has more of a rush, but the Florida game was 10 times worse. I mean, there's not even a question about that.
And Florida wasn't even good this year.
No, that's what I don't understand. That's
No.
I love T-Brad right here. Says, guys, you need to relax, guys. We're going to send a draft pick to the Minnesota Vikings and get Daniel Jones back.
Honestly, don't laugh. Don't laugh.
My only concern with JJ,
I can see it. I can see it. That's a classic Joe Shane move.
but the problem is Daniel Jones isn't under contract right now with the Vikings.
Oh, he'd re-sign him again for another 4 years. 160
He can
million.
go get Jones. Okay. Show of hands. If the New York Giants, on a low-end deal, brought back Daniel Jones, who would quit? There we go.
Games disappeared faster than Kayvon. That's a new record.
Oh my God. Kareem says my only concern with JJ's might have gotten some of the Daniel Jones funk on him. Because you know what? Everything I do funky. So you got to watch out. I don't get that funk on you. So yeah, there could be the funk aspect right now for JJ McCarthy.
I think. Go ahead, Tim. My fault.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Tim. OGR is right. If Joe Shane were to call Minnesota and ask them about JJ, they would say, "Nah, well, we won't give you JJ, but we got this other guy here on our practice squad. He's tall, he's athletic. You know, who would you give us for him? Oh, wait,
I think he suited up for the playoff game, actually.
Yes, he put the pads on. Oh God, you're right. Yes,
this is what kills me about Daniel Jones on people that still defend him like NGY Crush. He was on the practice squad of Minnesota for 6 weeks. There were teams that had quarterback issues during those 6 weeks period of time. Anyone could have taken him off their practice squad and signed him to their roster. No one even looked at Daniel Jones.
Fourth string guy, and they didn't even want Daniel Jones.
They didn't even. He couldn't beat out Nick Mullins.
that's crazy.
I mean, you are the 6th overall pick back in 2019, and you fell so much that you got waived in season. The Giants are eating $22 million in dead cap space, and you couldn't beat out Nick Mullins, and you were on the practice squad for 6 weeks. And teams with quarterback issues and playoff aspirations didn't even look at Daniel Jones. And Malik Willis started a game 10 days after ending up in Green Bay and after coming from Brazil and won 2 games in a row, then won another game and should have won a 4th game at the end of the season. But that's how good Daniel Jones is. We're going to do one last go around because I got to get out of here at 11:30. If no quarterback is available at 3, who are we taking? Who are we taking and why? I'm going to start over with James.
Oh God. Well, we're probably going to take Travis Hunter and his girlfriend, and then she's going to leave him for Micah Parsons, and that guy's going to suck. So that's probably what's going to happen.
Going to leave for on Thibodeau.
Yeah. Because Travis Hunter, to me, I'm just going to say it. If Tim and Travis Hunter were standing together, Tim would body slam Travis Hunter. OGR, philosopher, all you guys would just pick him up and just body slam him. That guy is like 60 pounds. He is 60 pounds. You think that guy really wants to tackle guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and DK Metcalf? And you think he could tackle those guys? Because I don't.
No. My question
Imagine
is
him trying to tackle Derrick Henry. And
please.
So you're going to put him at corner though, James?
I mean, it's hard.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
To me, I mean, you could put him either or.
I see you, Rob. Rob, we're actually getting ready to leave because I got to get out of here at 11:30. R0B came in for 1 minute. The 1 minute warning. That's what his wife said.
That's what she said.
Rob, why we got you here, Rob? We've been going through the Hunter. We've been going through the Cam Ward, Shador Sanders debate. If you had to pick, let's see who. Well, in other ways, we're going to rephrase it. Who was your pick out of those two, if you like either of those two, and if your first option was not there, would you be happy with the other?
Oh, I'm going Jackson Dart. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going. I like both of those guys. I think they're both going to be good. But if I have my pick of the litter, I'm going to take Shador Sanders. I like Shador. I like the way he plays. He's very smart, very accurate. I think his arm talent gets a little bit diminished for some reason by some people, and I don't know why. I like the way he resets the pocket. He does have some mobility, but he can reset the pocket. And I think he's a leader. Both of these guys are leaders, but I think with the New York Giants need an aura of a change, a flashy change of leadership in the locker room, and I think that Shador Sanders is going to bring that. I just feel like I like the more modern day type of quarterback, which I feel is like what he is. Like I was a big fan of Russell Wilson, Big Ben, like those guys that had some mobility, but could really just do wonders in the pocket and like just extend the play with their legs. The legs were not like a big part of their game like you see with like Jaden or Lamar. And that doesn't mean that those guys aren't great players. And I wasn't even a fan of like Daniel Jones, like doing that, to be honest. Like I like a guy that can be methodical in the pocket, but use his legs as a backup plan if need be.
All right. But would you be happy with Cam if Cam Ward, if Sanders was gone and Cam Ward was available? Would you be happy with Cam Ward?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with Cam Ward too. Look, I think with Cam, the guy's got a rough fucking arm. I mean, very, very strong arm. I think it was in the Virginia game. I was watching that game. I think that was like Monday night. And bro, he just like lasered that ball. He just like lasered that ball into like in between like two defenders for a touchdown. It was just absolutely incredible, the amount of speed he got off the ball. And he's gonna have you on the edge of your seat. He'll play a little bit of hero ball a little bit, but he's gonna have you on the edge of your seat, like, oh boy, he's getting out of the pocket. Like, what's he gonna do here? Like what? Like, whatnot. So I think he gives you a little bit of like I don't want to say like Lamar or Jaden, because I don't think that he's that athletic, but I think he gives you like some pretty good athleticism that he can use his legs.
Now the last question, I got to get to Philosophy Stoner about this one also. The last question I had that you missed was, if Sanders and Ward are neither there, who is your pick at 3?
Like I have to pick at 3. Like I can't do anything else.
No, we can't trade. No, we're not going to trade out this time. This time you have to. You're Joe Shane. You fell asleep at the switch. You didn't watch anything going on for the first 20 minutes of the draft, and you all of a sudden wake up and say, "Oh shit, I'm on the clock and I got 3 minutes left." Who is it?
Mason Graham.
Really?
Mason Graham.
Why?
Yeah, I know Travis Hunter is probably the generation
talent,
in this in this draft. And he's going to be, I think he's going to be a good player, but I wouldn't be surprised if like you saw like a Devin Hester type of career either, where Devin was a corner and then they converted him to a wide receiver and then he was okay. I wouldn't be surprised either, but I like him. I think he's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. My worry is teams overusing him. I mean, the percentage that he was being used on both offensive and defensive side of the ball in college is crazy. I think a team that can identify what he is and what they want him to be and then use him for the opposite. So let's just say a team identified him as a corner, but they want to bring him in sparingly as a wide receiver in key situations to give you an edge. I think that would be smart. But yeah, I would go Mason Graham. You got to shore up. I think pairing Mason Graham next to Dexter Lawrence, I think that's going to help Dexter. I think that's going to help Kayvon Thibodeau. Shucks. Sorry.
I think it's going to help Brian Burns, who actually had a decent year, despite the fact of, the roller coaster that was the defensive line and everything like that. I mean, he was our more productive pass rusher, I would say, shockingly. And I think that's going to help the defensive backs as well. Like, we had guys back in the day, Corey Webster, Terrell Thomas, Aaron Ross. Those guys weren't, blue chip prospects. Like, they were good football players, average football players that were in front of behind a great line of Strahan, Tuck, OC, JPP, Fred Robbins, Chris Canty, Linville Joseph, like guys that collapsed the pocket, and good linebacker play as well. And so
here's where I want to stop you for a second. Where did the Giants have the most in reference to a deficiency in regards to stopping the run?
Where did they?
Mm-hmm. It's not a hard question because everyone's been doing it since the preseason game in Cleveland 3 years ago.
Well, they're running to the outside. They're running to the outside. There was, so I would say that there was more.
How does Mason Graham help the Giants where everyone knows you just run right at Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns? You just run off tackle.
I think
you want to stay away from the middle of the field already because of Dexter Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that spread out the fact that we have two ends that play the run poorly outside of Bobby Okereke and McFadden at times? We have, well, those guys are more inside linebackers, but we have no outside linebackers who can help maintain the gap in their assignments and keep, one of the things that we should be doing as a Giants, as a team, because our strength is in the middle of the field, is push the play towards the center of the field, not allow them continuously to run at our ends, because teams know you run at Burns and Thibodeau, and I've been saying it since week one, you got nothing behind them. Yeah. You got no one that understands how to maintain their assignment and hold their edge against the run. So I'm just asking, how does Mason Graham, who is going to play in the interior of the line, which is our strength, allegedly our strength, stop teams from running to the outside?
So what I would say to answer that is, I think the only guy that right now that can get off blocks pretty quickly and either alter a running back's rushing lane is Dexter Lawrence. Like, he can shed a block. Like, let's just say if it's an outside run,
right,
and knows where that's going, he's going to be able to shed that block.
Don't run to the center of the field.
Yeah, and try to force that to the end. I don't think that there's another guy that's there. So that's one. Two, which Mason Graham could potentially do that. Two, I also think that if the run is getting to the outside, we don't have guys that can move down the line. So your offensive line has a running scheme where they're sliding and maybe you got a pulling guard. If you don't have another defensive lineman that's actually getting down the field, getting the eye or the attention of a blocker that is in that direction, now you're leaving your middle linebacker to try to fend off of a block. Now you're leaving your defensive end.
But teams are running in the center of the field. They're not running in the middle. They are running. We've watched it over and over. We've watched it over and over again. All you're doing is you're just going to run off tackle.
Well, the reason why they were running in the center of the field is because Dexter Lawrence was hurt, number one, and then number two.
No, but I'm saying majority of teams run off tackle. They don't go.
Yeah, and what I'm saying,
off tackle left, off tackle.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is your defensive line needs to be able to get down the line. And we don't have, other than Dexter Lawrence, there's nobody that's able to get down the line. I noticed last year when I was watching, when teams were running to Dexter's side but to the outside, Dexter's getting down the line, and those runs weren't as successful because now Bobby or McFadden, who's ever behind him, is not having to try to fight off one or two guys. Because Dexter's sliding down, he grabs the attention of other people, giving them a little bit of a better either one-on-one. Now the linebackers got to win their one-on-ones. They got to do all that stuff, but it makes it easier for the linebackers. You didn't have anybody on the other side. You were rotating Nunez Roches, who's fucking dog shit. Isaiah Chapman, who's too fucking small. He's an Oompa Loompa there on the fucking football field. DJ Davidson, who's just a big fucking Spanish guy or white guy or whatever that they thought was good, and he's not. He just takes up space. So it's like you don't have anybody that's got that intensity to get down the line. And when you watch some of Mason Graham, he's good at rushing the passer, but he's really good at shedding off the blocks. He's good with his hands. He's got a good first step. He's got some power behind him. So I think if that is a guy that can really help out in the run game, I think that can get down the line, make it easier for your linebackers, which is ultimately going to make it easier for your edges. Now, at the end of the day, the edges got to play. Burns has got to stop the run. Kayvon's got to stop the run. Like, they got to do their job. but I think it's going to make it a lot easier. I mean, you listen to middle linebackers talking all the time. I forgot who I was watching recently, but it might have been Fred Warner, and he was talking about some guys that he had. I think it was back in the day when he had DeForest Buckner and he had, I can't remember the other guy's name, Rutger, I think was the guy's name. And he said it's really easy for me to get to the ball carrier or get off the blocks when those guys are in front of me. When you got these guys in front of me, it's really easy for me to go and do my job to where I got to go. And they don't have guys.
I'm going to have to stop you there because I got to get to Philosophy Stoner because I got to get out of here. I'm already 10 minutes late. Philosophy Stoner, Philosophy Stoner, I had it right the first time. Again, if Cam Ward and Shador Sanders are not there, who are you going with and why?
I know you said no trade down, but I'm going to go with
no trade down. we can't violate the rules just for you. No trade
all
down.
right. Shit, man. This is not going to be popular, but I actually agree with Mason Graham, man. I think he's actually really, really fucking good, man. Like, he's a really good D tackle. And I think he could kind of clear some issues that what's his face is having. Sorry, I'm drawing blanks. It's the code. But it's the other D tackle that's our superstar D tackle.
Dexter Lawrence.
There we go. Yeah, I think he's going to help Dexter Lawrence be able to be Dexter Lawrence and be even more explosive and more disruptive, because I think we don't have any other D tackle on our team that actually makes any difference whatsoever outside of Dexter Lawrence. Like, that's it. That's all we have at D tackle.
Does it bother you that the last time a defensive lineman went third overall was you have to go back to 2019 and Williams and the Jets, that defensive lineman is not usually a position you take within the top 5?
I'll tell you what bothers me. What bothers me is that this draft is not a draft that's really gonna be deep enough or talented enough to make a big difference for us. And that's the only guy I can think of outside of Travis that'll make a difference. And even Travis, I think, like you said, he doesn't have enough weight on him to where he's going to be a player that we can depend on. I think he's going to get hurt. And I think that's the only reason I wouldn't pick Travis Hunter is I have concerns with picking him at 3 and he's only a 185. I think he's going to get hurt in the NFL pretty early.
My thing with Travis Hunter is I think he is an all-world corner in reference to coverage ability. But I also think I should say, which he did, he went to the Deion Sanders School of Tackling. So,
you know what's funny? My issue with his coverage ability is because I've looked at some tape, he grabs a lot. Bro grabs a lot. He's going to get a lot of PIs.
If you look at college, the way the college game is, even on some of the playoff games, we used to make fun of Eli Apple and other people for being handsy, but that seems to be the way the college game is going right now. There's a lot of grabbing. You look at that one game in the Ohio State game. You had the one guy who always seems to be grabbing. He's mugging the wide receiver and he's looking back shocked that they call the flag on him. Like, what do you mean? Look, and he looks up the screen like, what the fuck? I didn't do. Then you look at the screen like, dude, you did everything but steal his wallet and go home and kick his dog. That's a penalty. So I mean, you see that more and more now in college. I kind of think that's the way to go. All right, guys, listen, I appreciate everyone coming on. I really do have to jump off because I got to get out of here before noon. I got to head out somewhere and be back in time for the game. I want to thank everyone for coming on. I want to thank James. I want to thank OGR. I want to thank Philosophy Stoner for hanging out. I want to thank everyone in the chat. Logic's Minus and Nick and OG Knockout came in late. An 80s baby lost in the dying breed wants to know about trading for Justin Herbert. I would trade for Justin Herbert, but there's a coach named Jim Harbaugh that's not going to give Justin Herbert to the Giants for the third pick.
I'll trade for Herbert, but can we trade him? Can we trade him away for the playoffs because he sucks in the playoffs?
They said the same thing about Peyton, and 3 Super Bowl rings later, we know what happened. This is Dennis New York Giants. Hi, everyone. Like Big Blue LLC. I want to thank everyone for coming in, everyone for being in the chat, everyone that was hanging out on Twitter. I thank R0B, Philosophy Stoner, James Williams, and OGR Sports. We'll see you.
Do the monkey with me.
Do the monkey with me. Maybe we'll see you on Monday. We're a live stream. I haven't decided yet. And you know, guys, thanks for coming on. We're out. Peace.
Peace.